Good morning. It's really nice to see you. You've joined this because you're interested in GC Academy. So I'm going to run through just a really simple intro for you to give you all the answers to the questions that you need. If I don't, then there'll be some Q&A at the end. And if you don't want to ask me in front of everybody else, you can just email me or Teams me privately. Obviously, that comes with a small cost to you, but we can just take it out of your salary direct. So let's just quickly look at basics. Most of you have seen this slide before, but ideally try and keep your camera on just so that if you ask a question, I know who I'm talking to. Get stuck in. If you want to ask questions, that's absolutely fine. You might find that if you don't mute, you start to get loads of feedback. So it's a good idea to mute. You can use the special hands up button. So I'm going to do it. And then you get like a little Homer Simpson hand in the corner. Or you can just wave at me and I will try and answer your question. Tech fails, we're not expecting any today. Teams, as you probably know, has not been on its best behavior for the last few days, but it looks like it's a bit better today. So why are you here? We think there's probably 3 reasons. One is that you're interested in what the GC development programs can do for you. The other one might be that you want to get clear on the options that are also available for your team, which is brilliant. If you're thinking like that, that's fantastic. And then also, finally, it could be that you've already done GC Develop or GC Manage or one of our pick and mix programs, and you're interested about, well, what is next for me? So we're going to cover that off for you in probably, I would say like probably 15 sort of minutes. So GC Academy, this is pretty much the brand. This is the name of the program that holds all of the other development programs. Whether or not it's your first step or your final leadership step, it's going to be in here somewhere. So the very first one is GC Develop. GC Develop is majority online, but what we have added in this year is an extra couple of experiential face-to-face days so that you actually start to work with people, see people for real, and you will be working on live projects that the Exco give us. So really an opportunity to put your skills to practice, but in real life. The rest of them are 90-minute sessions, online webinars with loads of supported learning. The way I sum this up is GC Developers, if you just want to get your skills better, there is no little there's no little forcing you to then be promoted. You might want to just be on GC Develop because you want to get better at your job. That's absolutely fine. So there's no forcing you to do things you don't want to do. It's a brilliant way to top up your skills, whether you are early stages in your job or whether you've been with us for 10 years. So our follow-up to that is GC Manage. So GC Manage is exactly the same, primarily virtual, with a couple of face-to-face days as well if you want to attend them. This one is for if you are very soon to be a manager, or you are already a manager and you think you could top up your skills. Might be that you're a supervisor and you only supervise people a couple of days a week, but you still know that you need to learn the skills of managing others and managing yourself. The third option that you've got there is pick a mix. So as an example, let's say I joined the company and I've been on 10 management development programs in the past. And I join GC and they go, Jez, we're going to stick you on GC Manage. There's a high possibility I'm going to be repeating work I've already done. So we let you go through one of the programs and pick the sessions that suit you best. So it really is personalized learning. So I'll give you the options for that later. And then the brand new one, which has only just been signed off, which is really exciting, is GC Lead. So GC Lead is going to be our early stage leadership program. And instead of going out for that, we're going to deliver it in-house for the first time ever, which means we can make it more personal to us and we can really develop you all the time because the trainers will always be in the business rather than just one day a month. This one is not webinars. These are face-to-face training sessions. They're days. So you'll be out for about 8, maybe even 9 days over the period of a year. The idea here is that you should already be managing people, and that your supervisors and your bosses and your directors should know that you are the people that they want to start developing for the future. And then finally, you will have heard in the past about GC Accelerate. Accelerate is our more senior leadership program, and that one is still running from 2023. So that one doesn't end until September this year. So we won't be doing anything with that one until 2025. So let me tell you a little bit about how you will learn. So we're trying to make this as modern and as modular as possible. So you will always have live webinars. They're fun, they're interactive, you can get stuck in, there's videos, etc. You'll have a little bit of pre-course work, usually 10 minutes max. You will have a ton of extra resources for you on SharePoint. So it could well be that you'll have videos to watch, articles to read, etc. We'll give you links to podcasts, books, interactive bite-sized guides. You'll always get really good handouts as well so that you can refer back to it. And as I said, you'll be invited to join up to 2 face-to-face days during the year where you get together with all of your team members and work on a business problem to try and solve it. The idea of this is to try and give you maximum flexibility, and it doesn't destroy your working day because you are out for 90 minutes on a webinar. What I will say is that the flexibility also comes with the fact that there's not just one of each session. So let's just say, for example, Tom desperately wants to attend one, and typical GC happens. There's a crisis, as there always is. Everybody runs around and he misses his session. That's not his only chance. There's normally at least 4 or 5 of each session to allow you that flexibility. What we don't want you to do is just keep cancelling them until you run out of days, because that doesn't get you anywhere. So I want to just tell you a little bit about what you would learn in the programs. If you went on GC Develop, you can see there are 10 modules that you would pick up, and we've created these in-house based on tons of research around the skills that people need. So you've got things like, how do I have a really great conversation? How do I develop my personal brand? How do I clearly write when I'm in business? How do I look after our customers? How do I get my assertiveness to dial up a little bit? Even how do I manage my manager? So really interesting topics that are designed to help you be slightly better at your job, but also to develop your own personal life skills. GC Manage is really similar. As you can see, 12 topics instead of 10. And these are similar, but on a slightly higher level because of the work that you do. So things like, how do I communicate? How do I coach my team? How do I learn about my emotional intelligence? How do I cope with constant change that happens at ground control? And you'll see that these are really, really practical courses that give you something to do almost instantly after you've finished. GC Lead, because of it being a leadership program. Oh, sorry, my bad. I've jumped ahead. Neil, tell me off later. Pick a mix, as I said. If you want pick a mix, you don't pick the whole program. You can pick up to 6 for develop and up to 6 for manage. And if you want to talk those choices through, you can come to me or Neil in the training team and we'll help you work out what you need, or you can do it yourself using the guide and your manager. So GC Lead, it's basically ideal for people who are already managing and now need to start thinking about leading. 8, maybe even 9 days over a 12-month period. These are the kind of things I would like you to consider if you're going to apply for this. And I mean this in the nicest way. You've got to be comfortable with that there will be pre-course work. There'll be handouts to read. We'll use a platform called HowSpace where you will be required to log in and do some learning. You'll always have polls, chats, questions. You'll always be being asked, what have you done with your learning? You will require to stay away. you'll likely have 2, possibly 3 overnight stays. So you've got to feel comfortable that that fits into your world. You're going to have some travel. The venues are not likely to be on your doorstep. So factor in, can you do that? There's probably going to be some early starts and late finishes with that. You'll have a big group project. You'll need to do a little bit of study in your own time. You will also have a final presentation to do as a group. And what really the best part of being on a program like this is that you get exposure to our Exco team, because it's them that you're working with and it's them that you're presenting to. It's an incredible program. We're really excited about it, but I think it's really key that you see the kind of commitment that you need to be on that. If you're interested in what you would learn on GC Lead, here's the topics. So you can see this is all about how do I lead myself? And it's real deep diving into what am I made up from? How do I understand my bias? How do I know what my self-awareness is? How do I engage other people? How do I solve problems? We've covered some sustainability and net zero information in there as well, because we think all of our leaders need that. How do I develop people? How do I coach them, mentor them? How do I think commercially? How am I able to tell a great story in a presentation to get people to follow me on my leadership journey? So there's tons in there, and you'll be supported by an Exco sponsor, and also the leadership trainers will be guiding you all the way through the year. So if you are lucky enough to have already attended a GC Develop or Manage, or maybe you've done some pick and mix, there are 4 options for you, because we don't want you to think that your journey's finished. So it could be that you go with Implement, which is, I don't want to do anything else at the moment, Jez. I just want to put into practice the learning I've got. Absolutely fine. It could be Build, and that would be, we will give you access to tons of self-learning, GC University, all of our on-demand stuff, and you can come and attend one of the experiential days. It might be that you want to apply for GC Manage, or you may want to apply for GC Lead. And if you do that, that's fine. You fill in your application form and your manager and our HR team would agree it. And then a new option, which is brand new for 2024, is that you might want to specialize. So I'm going to pick a different person this time. So let's say Joe did GC Manage last year, loved it, doesn't really want to go any higher than manager, but wants to specialize in data science. Then we could look and find a qualification that he can study that we can fund that allows him to become a specialist manager, rather than forcing his way up to the top when that might not be what he wants to do. I'd urge you to have a think about this one, because there's only so much room at the top of any organization, but there's always room for specialists who know their stuff. And it's a really good way for you to keep growing, but not necessarily in that straight line up. Maybe it's a bit more of a wiggly line around. So all of those are available, and this is in the guide for you as well. I want to just finally cover off some FAQs, and then I'll go through the process. So if you don't do the pre-course work, you don't learn. It's up to you. If you miss it, you're missing out, but it will always be there, and we encourage you. We don't set you hours of pre-course work. It's usually 10 minutes. What about if, say, you don't bother to go and look at the content on Housepace or SharePoint? Again, you're missing out because you're not getting the full content. What about, let's say you don't want to stay over? That would be difficult for you if you were joining a leadership program, because part of it is staying away. But with the other programs, that wouldn't be a problem. What about if you need a bit of extra support, like maybe you've got dyslexia or you've got a hearing problem? All you got to do is talk to us about that, and we will absolutely make accommodations for you. Our courses are designed to be as flexible as possible to support you. What about if you miss a session? Well, I kind of answered that with Tom's example. You'll be able to go on another one. With leadership training, ideally you shouldn't be missing them, but in the worst case, we would buddy you up with the trainer. Does going on this course mean I'll get promoted? I'm nowhere near as important as you might think. I can't guarantee that for you. But what I can tell you is that if you are being developed and you are therefore behaving differently, you'll be noticed for doing that. What about if you want to drop out? We'd be gutted if you did, and we'd want to talk to you to see if there was anything we could do. But of course you can, you're not signed in. Can you claim your travel to a training? Yes, absolutely, of course you can. What is an experiential day? It basically is a day that rather than being face to face, it's as a group in a venue, but it's very sort of an interactive. You'll be working together, breakouts, guest speakers, that kind of stuff. Do you get a qualification? You don't. Our courses are not qualified like that. They don't need to be. This is more about your internal development than getting a certificate. What about if you don't do the extra learning, don't get as good an experience? Can you have some time at work to do some of this? Your manager should be flexible, but you've also got to factor in doing a little bit yourself. What does your manager need to do? They need to support you. They need to give you help. They need to let you come on the courses. Face-to-face sessions, we've already answered. That's in the experiential day. When will you know all of your dates? Assuming that you apply and it all goes to plan, we will then send you an email with all your dates and put all your dates for the entire year into your calendar at once. And what about your holidays? You are still allowed holidays. If you've booked holidays, we're not going to make you cancel them for a training course. We will find a way around it. If you get your dates and then proceed to book all your holidays over those dates, that's slightly different. We'll probably have to have a private conversation outside and knock your heads together. So those are all of the usual frequently asked questions. And all I want to do now is run you through the process. So if it was for develop or manage, all you got to do, decide which one you think it is. Am I going to go on develop, manage, or do I just want to do pick and mix? Chat to your manager. They've got to know that you're thinking about doing this. And in some cases, I think they probably will have encouraged you to apply. Complete the form, and the form is going to be dropped in the chat for you, but it's also on the email that you saw about this webinar. Send it in. As soon as your form gets approved, then you'll be on the program and we'll start inviting you from April. If you're going for the leadership program, you have to fill in an application form again and speak to your manager. It's important they know you're doing it. Our talent team will get you to do a quick assessment activity, and they will help you work out which is the right program. Once accepted, you will attend a launch event while we get you all together to kick it off, and then you start the program. So we really have tried to keep this as simple as we possibly can. So you've listened a lot to me. Nobody's thrown tomatoes at the screen yet, so it couldn't have been too bad, unless, of course, you didn't have any tomatoes. So what that now brings me to is any questions. So as you can see, there's quite a few of you. So if we do hands up, if you can, I know that Joe, you might not have the hands up button on your thing. Neil's popped the forms for you in the chat. Did anybody want to ask any questions, or did I say anything too quick? Or Chris Hart, I can see you.
Yeah, just a quick one. What's the difference between lead and accelerate? And would you say that you should do lead now if you plan to do accelerate, if that's not opening up until the future?
I think that would be a really good way to look at it. If you are managing people, or maybe you manage one or two, and really there's a big difference between managing. Managing is getting stuff done, right? But leadership is about selling the future, the strategy. How do I build people? It's a good way for you to build your skills towards accelerate when it comes around in 2025. Anybody?
We've got hands up from Joe.
Oh, sorry, Joe, I can't see you.
That's right. Yeah, thanks for going through that. I'm quite interested or intrigued about the specialism side of it.
Yeah.
So obviously you went through how to apply for the face-to-face and the sort of remote ones. What's the sort of route for, you know, if you want to go down the specialized route? Is there a process?
Yeah, good question. Just come and talk to me or Neil, because it's so personal to you. And what we'll do is the plan is that we're going to really maximise our apprenticeship levy this year. And there's so many qualifications in there that can be funded. and not that this should be a deciding factor for you, but it's nice that you're not held responsible for the cost of that because it's already been paid for. So it's not a weight around your neck at the same point as specialising. So yeah, just come and talk to us, Joe.
Brilliant. Thanks, Jess.
Thanks. That was a good question to ask for everybody else as well. Okay. Nikki Banyard. Oh, and another one.
Hello.
Nikki goes first. Hello.
Hello. A quick question on the pick and mix.
Yes.
As it stands, the pick and mix, you can choose 6 from develop and 8 from manage. Is there an option to literally pick a mix between the two, or is that a little bit step too far?
We have done it in the past. What I would say is that some, not always, but sometimes the people who are on develop can feel a bit intimidated when they're in a group full of managers. Now, that's not due to how we deliver it. It's just they might not speak up as much.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, nobody here is like a cookie cutter fit. Like we're not all perfect. So if somebody really wants 2 from one and 5 from the other, I don't have an issue with it.
Okay.
I think as long as they're getting development, I don't have a real problem.
Yeah, thank you. It's just if you've got somebody in your team that might have more experience, and actually it might not be 5 or 6 from that, but it might just be 1 or 2, might just be, okay, perfect.
Not a problem. Our job is to provide support and development, and if that's how it looks, then that's how we'll do it.
Wonderful, thank you.
The next hand up was Harriton Blake.
Harrison, God, what a good name.
Thanks. I'm sorry if I've already missed this and you've explained it, because I joined the meeting a couple of minutes late.
It's okay, man.
Is this program aimed at GC's own employed staff, or field teams can participate in this?
Well, that is a very good question. So we are offering this to both our GC staff and completely free of charge to all of our field teams.
Interesting. Okay.
So
thank you.
Any field team manager could come on GC Manage, and any field team employee of any level could go on GC Develop if they thought it was. The leadership one stays with us simply because it's a lot more expensive, and that's something we wouldn't want to charge you for. We've got several field teams already going through the program, and some of the managers from last year are now enrolling their supervisors so that they're all thinking the same way, and it doesn't cost you any money at all.
Brilliant. Thanks. Thank you. Appreciate it.
No worries. There was one other, wasn't there?
Yeah, we did have Sarah, but it looks like she's disappeared. Maybe she's been put. Oh, Joe's just put his hand up.
Oh, so Sarah asked a question, which
Sarah's disappeared.
No, I've got it. It says, are there any Excel courses through the specialisms? So probably not likely we wouldn't put you through a specialism because it would be too intense, but we can sort and help you in many different ways with Excel. All you got to do for that one, Sarah, send an email into training, explain what you need, and then one of my lovely team will get back to you with an answer. And then
Joe Gibbons.
Joe Gibbons. Yep.
Hi, Jez. It was only to ask, is there like a cap of numbers per course? Are you only accepting, say, 10 for lead and 20 for the others, or?
Great question. There's no cap at all on Develop and Manage. As a total, 157 people were on the 2023 programs. And then with our leadership program, I would imagine the cap would probably be max like 18, 20, not for financial reasons, just because once the group starts tipping over that size, I think people's learning would be affected. But the other courses, absolutely not. Even if we had to put in more than we expected to cover the people, that's what we're supposed to be here to do. So that's what we would do. Good question. Okay. It's gone desperately quiet. So I think that might mean that we've answered all of the questions. But remember what I said, if I haven't answered it, or you don't want to ask it in this situation, then you can absolutely just email me direct. Nikki, Jez, assume those on Pick and Mix Ascend. They do. So Nikki, that great question. It helps people understand. We don't want to separate people off. So we want, let's say you put Johnny from your team on a session and Joe's on it and Harriton's on it. We want them learning in exactly the same way. So it also means they get mixed with managers, field teams, and then the learning is even better because you're seeing lots of different people's points of view. Okay, so Neil's put the
No, Joe.
Yeah, I was just going to add one thing because I'm doing the develop at the moment.
Yep.
And just for anyone who hasn't had exposure to these courses before, it's really great for like building relationships with other people in different areas of the business, getting to know other divisions, and it's a good bit of exposure. So from my experience, I'd say it is very worthwhile from that side of things. And also the content is great, and we've had Neil a lot of the time, and he's great as well. So I just thought I'd add that in.
I mean, I probably agree with most of those points. I'm not 100% sure I would agree on the Neil part, but I'll
be doing a bank transfer later, Joe. Don't worry.
Yeah. So we'll edit that. We'll edit that out of the recording because I can't have that out there in the public domain. Okay. So if there's nothing else, I'll let you go and get on with your days. If you need me or you want to ask any questions, you can send it to me, or potentially you could send it to Neil, but it won't be as good of an answer. Louisa, let me just quickly answer your question. What would you recommend for somebody who may not want to be a manager but wants to do more self-development? Definitely either develop or pick and mix of the manager ones. And again, if you're not sure, have a look through the guide. And if you're still not sure, book 10 minutes with me on Teams and I'll talk you through it. The thing that I like what you've mentioned here is I don't want people to think that by going on a course, you're forcing yourself to be promoted. Not everybody wants to be promoted, and that's absolutely fine. So you'll only be doing the things that you want to do. So Louisa, reach out to me if you can't work it out from the handout. Cool. Right. Okay. 9:29, bang on time. And we will catch up with you and hopefully see your application soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.